Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Maria.
And this is Nfgeeks. All right, Maria, I'm so happy to have you on for Nfgeeks.
Thank you, Mike. I'm very honored to be part of your show.
Oh, I know. You've been part of so many things that I've been involved in, I know.
I am a behind-the-scenes person. I'm very rarely...
Oh, no. That's not true. You've always been the star.
Oh, no.
The star.
No.
Absolutely.
No,
the rising star.
No, I stay in the kitchen and I cook.
No.
And I bake.
Well, hey, that's enough.
It is.
Yeah. So, Maria, I want to talk to you about some real... So, Maria's an INFJ, okay, just to let you know, if you couldn't tell. If you know your types, you go like, another INFJ on NFgeeks. But it's true, yeah. Well, here's the thing. No, it gives away the NF stuff dependence.
Does it?
Oh, yeah,
Why?
absolutely. I don't know.
Do you like adornments?
I like to think of them as talisman, but I think...
Well, yes, me too. It's
right.
Jewelry is very spiritual. I have to be connected to it in order to wear it.
Yeah, right. That's why I've done.
Don't give me some tacky crap.
Exactly.
I won't wear it.
So she's an INFJ, and she has a very INFJ profession that I want to share with the other INFJs, particularly my new best friend, INFJ Front Row Seat, as she's known on YouTube.
Front Seat.
Yes, and so she is in a parallel universe doing kind of what you're doing a little bit. So, and I think the other INFJs will certainly appreciate this too. Okay. So first, let's start with what are the things that you're working on in life right now in terms of your profession, your craft?
My craft.
Yes.
So I am a holistic healer. I'm part of the holistic medical field. At the present moment, I have a private practice, and I do see clients, and I have a various toolbox of healing modalities that I do.
Oh, that's got all the holistic people that just have enough. They love to talk about healing modalities.
So I have a ton in my box as is, and I'm still learning more.
Sure. What kind of thing? Can you give us sort of
I do
buffet example?
Yes, here's your poo-poo platter. I am a massage therapist.
Okay.
I am a Reiki master.
That's very INFJ.
I am an herbalist. I am a shamanic healer. I'm an aromatherapist. And I fuse all of those together with the work that I do with my clients. I'm in school, finishing up my bachelor's degree. Finally, it took me a long time to do it.
Good for you.
I'm 30, and I'm very proud of being 30. I think it's a very awesome achievement because being teens and 20s sucked.
Yeah, I can concur. 30s are a great decade. 40s, not so much.
Well, I'm very excited to be far away from being a teenager in 20s. Yeah, I don't ever want to go back, so I think being 30 is awesome. It's weird being in college when you're doing your undergraduate degree because you're surrounded by all those people who are teens and 20s, and you know, when you eavesdrop into conversations and you listen to what's going on, you're like, are you serious? You're really fretting over this really annoying, stupid little thing? And
I'm still trying to figure out dubstep. Have you heard of dubstep?
I have, and I've heard the term dub used in, like, reggae music, I think.
Really? I'm
not sure.
It's some kind of instrumental, I don't know, electronic noise.
I've assumed that it was electronic.
That's all I know. I'm old.
We're
old people.
I feel very old because I still own mixtapes. My car has a tape player that doesn't work. I listen to NPR when I'm in my car.
That's very INFJ too. What are some of your favorite? You talked about your toolkit. I want to get back to that for a minute. What are some of your favorite tools in the toolkit, or ones that you really feel really help people heal?
Well, all of them, because it's a very case-by-case basis. Like, I don't have a favorite. I don't like to think of my modalities as, like, one's a favorite, one's a not. I don't know. They each have their own respective position in my life, but they're all equally important. And depending on what the person is presenting, you figure out which is going to be their recipe for that session, for that time. So even if it's not very apparent that I'm using a modality, like say if I'm doing massage as the main modality for like the first half hour, my herbalism training still comes through by being taught to have just ultimate compassion for all living things, regardless of what their species is. And when you really listen and learn from the plants, you very much learn to have compassion for anything.
That's right. And only an INFJ would say, listen to the plants.
Listen
that's
to the plants.
Perfect.
It's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that's fantastic.
And that's kind of how I started in this field, was through the plants. So.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Do we have story time? I don't know how much time we have.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Okay. So this is how it began.
Okay, well, I have a question
about
the plants. Okay, it's very important. The viewers must know. Do you say herbs or herbs?
I've done both, and
This is a big deal.
I wish herb was more natural for me to say, but I was grown up saying herb, so the H is like a forced silence in the back of the throat. It's like a herb instead of a herb.
Sure.
But I have a lot of friends who are European, and so it's herb, and I always get made fun of. I wish I could say herb more often because it just sounds more whole.
Sure.
But it's just not in my...
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
It's not in the vernacular that I grew up with.
Yeah. Me neither, until I learned that in Britain they say herbs.
Yeah, it's herbs.
And then I thought, well, gee, they did invent English. Maybe I should, respect that.
Yeah.
Although I'm not saying schedule. Okay?
I don't say that either.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Yeah. But not that that's wrong. It's just that, I'm in America. All right, so let's get back to your
my evolution story.
Oh, you have. I was going to. Does this have to do with the herbs?
Well, it has to do with the plants and how it began.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's hear it.
This would be
the storytelling.
This is storytelling.
Okay, fantastic.
So my evolution story.
Okay.
I was between the ages of 4 and 5. I wasn't in kindergarten yet, and we had just moved to a new house, and it was awesome. It was surrounded by woods, and there was a lake across the street. It was secluded on a dead end, and I adored it there. It was a very magical place for me because it was quiet. We had a few neighbors, and there were lots of animals and plants. And I liked to sit outside a lot alone and play and kind of be in my own fairy, sparkly world.
Right, like a good NF.
Sing songs and make mud pies and cakes and castles. And we had a lot of trees and gardens. And I learned how to garden pretty much as soon as I could steadily hold the tool and pass it to my dad. So I loved being with plants. I loved working with them, planting, harvesting, singing to them. I just thought, this is really cool. Putting a seed in and you have this thing grow.
Sure.
And you can eat it if you want
to.
So
sort of in touch with the whole process.
Making it tangible for me was how I learned best, but I found this was more than just a chore of just planting and weeding and things like that. To me, this was deep spiritual work. Being outside with plants was very important to me. So one day, I was playing next to one of my favorite trees. It was a maple tree, and there was a blueberry bush growing under it. And so blueberries are my favorite. So I'd sit and pick blueberries and sing and tra-la-la and make mud pies. And I just looked up at the tree and said, "Tree, I love you." And I gave the tree a big hug. And I physically felt, right at that moment, a physical response, the energy, this pulse, this radiation, this buzz feeling from the tree. And I was, taken aback for a moment because I'm like, whoa, you have, a heartbeat, tree. And I would kind of, move back a bit and, put my hand up against the bark and be like, there's something physical going on with you. And I kept going back and forth, I know I have a pulse, this tree has a pulse, I have a pulse, this tree has a pulse. So I knew there was something more going on in the world, but it couldn't really be expressed through language. Yeah,
that's exactly the NF point I've been trying to make for, every video for a year.
And so I felt that, well, everyone must feel this from trees. And then I just... that leads down a bad path. And so I just sort of, for a few more moments outside, just started touching everything else and getting a very physical response, like paying attention to the vibration. And I'm like, this is a very tangible physical thing that I'm experiencing. Everyone must be feeling this. So I remember running through the house and I was like, Dad, hug a tree. It has a heartbeat. You can totally feel it. And he's like, yeah. My dad was like, yeah, they do. Trees are alive. But, my mom and my sister and, some of my, later on when I went to school and told people about this, they're just no, you're a wackadoodle.
That's a bad idea.
They really don't. But my dad understood it, I think, a little bit more. And so how he helped cultivate my understanding of what couldn't really be explained through language. He sort of introduced me to different, I'm not going to say religions, but like spiritual ways of life. Like we live very close to a very, very large ashram.
Like a way you could orient yourself to sacredness.
Yeah. Different ways people are connected to the divine.
Sure, okay.
So we had an ashram that was nearby in the town that I lived in. It was very large. It was based in Hinduism. And he had a lot of friends there, and he was also interested in going because it was more than just a temple. Like, there were a lot of, like, it was on this beautiful piece of land. And we would go after we took our forced golf lessons, because it shared property with the golf course. So me and my sister would take golf lessons, and we hated them. And after we took these golf lessons, we would hang out at the ashram. And I loved the connection of nature through this place. But through that, I started hanging out in, like, meditation temples, which were all dark. And then within the darkness, after a few minutes, your eyes would get used to the dark.
Sure.
You could lightly see around you these different statues that were there, but there were these little lights on that were around them that were so low that you wouldn't see them initially once you walked in the darkness. And I was like, oh, this is very different from the church that I go to. It's very bright, and it's very, we sing and things like that.
Sure.
Where this is a place for quiet contemplation, but there's still a visual aspect to it. Like, for me, it being someone who gravitates towards having all of my senses involved, I'd like to see things when I'm being taught something new. So for me, if you're going to teach me something about a religion or a spiritual way of life, give me something that I can look at, because I feel like I grew up Roman Catholic, and in Roman Catholic we have a lot of visuals.
Absolutely, that's what I like about Catholicism.
Yeah, we have
the pomps, the circumstance, the costumes.
So I was
the pageantry.
Yeah, so I was very taken back by the lack of that.
Sure.
Where it was just so simple, where it was a dark room, and then these small little figures that you kind of had to like look for.
Sure.
But not everyone knew they were there. It was almost like these little treasures, like these little secrets. And if you went to go look for them, you could find them. And that's what the land that we lived on was like. And that's how I connected with the ashram there. It was more the environment.
Sure.
And
you mean like the natural environment?
The natural environment. It was on this amazing piece of land. And you could go in rooms inside, and they had a lot of gemstone. Like, they had a lot of things of nature in there on display.
How, now, could you put the two together? How does this experience in your childhood, from the tree to the ashram, inform your healing craft now? How would you put these two together?
That we all have all living beings and some non-living beings. We all have an energetic vibration, and to me, I can tangibly feel it. It's a very physical, putting my hand, and you are giving off something. Even if you were dead, you still have a pattern that's there that resonates with the vibration. And I wanted to know more about it. I wanted to know what it was saying.
Okay.
And I felt that so many things and so many humans and so many other species say so much more with their energy pattern, whether they're happy or in pain, that you can't really verbalize. And I was finding that through touching, like just the simple act of that could tell me a story. And it wasn't, I don't call it like a psychic power or an ability. Like, it was just more of I could have a conversation with someone and then just touch them for a moment, and I can sense, like, if they're in, like, deep, deep pain, but they don't want anyone to know about it.
I've actually heard INFJs speak like that before. That seems very a pattern of some kind that I've witnessed. With INFJs, anyway. And
it was very... it was painful for me to feel, because this person wasn't expressing it or finding a way to heal it. And I wanted to know, how can I make the world a better place, but by acting in my community in a realistic, tangible way? How can I save the world from a little bit of discomfort while I'm staying within my bounds and my scope of
sure.
practice.
Oh, that's perfect, Maria.
I guess I just wanted to give the world a hug.
Yeah.
But to make it very authentic, because I do care.
Sure.
But I care about all things. So if a plant is in pain, if my cat is in pain,
right.
if a desk is broken, I want to do something to
sure.
fix all of it, because they all have a purpose.
Well, that's all the time we have.
Okay.
So thank you, Maria. That was
You're
really
welcome.
wonderful.
You're welcome.